This is from the Krishna book, chapter 2. And this chapter is entitled Prayers by the Demigods for Lord Krishna in the Womb. Prabhupada writes, in the Upanishads it is stated, Nayam Atma Bala Hinena Labhya. The purport is that one cannot attain the supreme platform of self-realization. Oh, he thinks I'm on, Antonio thinks he's supposed to go on my Skype.
Can I just send him a message?
Just tell him to go to Mayapur TV.
Yeah, I'm going to tell him.
One cannot attain the supreme platform of self-realization without being sufficiently favored by Balaram. Bala does not mean physical strength. No one can attain spiritual perfection by physical strength. One must have the spiritual strength which is infused by Balaram or Sankarshan. Ananta or Sesha is the power which sustains all the planets in their different positions. Materially, this sustaining power is known as the law of gravitation, but actually, it is the display of the potency of Sankarshan. Balaram or Sankarshan is spiritual power, or the original spiritual master. Therefore, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who was also the incarnation of Balaram, is the original spiritual master. And the spiritual master is the representative of Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who supplies spiritual strength. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is confirmed that the spiritual master is a manifestation of the mercy of Krishna. So, spiritual master is just representing what we call a tattva or truth, the truth of Guru. And Balaram is the original spiritual master, so the spiritual master represents Balaram, and Balaram, as it's being explained here, is not physical strength, but it is spiritual strength, and we get our spiritual strength from Balaram. And we get our strength from the spiritual master. So it's all coming down through, and then we get strength, we give it to others. So that spiritual strength, as Prabhupada says here, that is Balaram. And Balaram, by his potency, is the gravitational force which holds up the universe in another expansion. He has many forms. Every form, Krishna has many forms, and Balaram also expands in many forms for different functions. We'll read more. It should become more clear as we read. This is from the Adi Leela of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 1. Lord Nityananda, who is Balaram himself, the first direct manifestation or expansion of Krishna, is the original spiritual master. He helps Lord Krishna in his pastimes, and he is a servant of the Lord. So Balaram is described as a first expansion. Of course, they're both eternal, but still, there's the supreme eternal. And then Krishna expands, and his first expansion or direct manifestation is Balaram. And Balaram's position is to assist Krishna in every way possible in his pastimes. And sometimes Balaram takes the form of physical things, or what appear to be physical things. Of course, in the spiritual world, they're not physical. But he manifests himself, and he'll take the form of Krishna's clothes, for example. And his clothes are not material, they're spiritual, but that's actually Balaram. There are many, many aspects of what Krishna uses, which are expansions of Balaram. So, Balaram, he has his only, even though Prabhupada said there's no difference between Krishna and Balaram other than Balaram's white and Krishna's blue. But Balaram's position is he's always facilitating Krishna's enjoyment. That's all. That's why he exists. So generally you think of God as he's the enjoyer everyone serves, but Balaram, he only exists to serve Krishna. So he serves him in many ways, and everything he does is to facilitate Krishna's enjoyment. Even Balaram has his own gopis. But his relation with the gopis is to help prepare for Krishna's enjoyment somehow. This is how he thinks. He doesn't have any other thought. Of course, that's how we should all think. But there's nothing about him other than facilitating Krishna. So it's a nice meditation. Here's a lecture. That spiritual strength is Balaram. Bala means strength. Therefore, we have to take shelter of the lotus feet of Balaram. Guru Tattva. Balaram means Guru Tattva. Balaram represents Guru. Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasada. If we want to understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if we want to understand Krishna, then we must take shelter of Balaram. In other words, take shelter of Guru, which is representative of Balaram, which is where we get our spiritual strength. Nayam Atma Balahinena Labhya. This Bala Hinena Labhya. Bala Hinena Labhya means without Bala. This Vedic injunction means without the mercy of Balaram, you cannot understand, you cannot realize your spiritual identification. So that Balaram comes as Nityananda Prabhu. Balaram Hoilo Nitai. So Lord Nityananda is Lord Chaitanya is Krishna and Lord Nityananda is Balaram. You know that? Gaur Nitai, Krishna Balaram, Gaur Nitai. So in the Kali Yuga, Krishna and Balaram come as Gaur Nitai. Balaram is Krishna's brother. Without the mercy of Balaram, you cannot understand. And you cannot realize your spiritual identification. So, to approach Lord Chaitanya, you go through Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda is the mercy manifestation of Lord Chaitanya. He's even more merciful than Lord Chaitanya. Because Lord Chaitanya, when Jagan Madhai had offended Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya wanted to kill them. And Lord Nityananda said, no, save them. So, of course, this was a pastime enacted to glorify Lord Nityananda and to show how in this age of Kali, the mission of Lord Chaitanya is to give mercy. But externally, Lord Nityananda is more merciful than Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya preached to more or less the scholarly class, and Lord Nityananda went out to everybody. So he extended Lord Chaitanya's mercy even further. So we always feel that we need to take shelter of Lord Nityananda, Balaram, because he extends his mercy to the most fallen. So he extended his mercy to Jagai and Madhai, and Jagai and Madhai represent the most fallen, the most sinful. So because he was willing to extend his mercy to them, then we feel there's hope for us. And then one time Prabhupada said, then if you want to get Lord Nityananda's mercy, then you extend mercy to all the Jagais and Madhais of Kali Yuga. So you give Krishna to others as Lord Nityananda gave it to Jagai and Madhai, and then you also, that is how you'll get Lord Nityananda's mercy, by giving mercy. So when you give Krishna consciousness to others, you get it. That's how it works. The more you give it, the more you get it. And whatever you're getting for yourself, as it builds up, then you have more to give. So that's how it works. Therefore, we must take shelter of Balaram. This song, Prabhupada's giving a lecture on a song, and he's quoting the verse that Lord Balaram has come, Nityananda has come as Balaram. This song, sung by Narottam Das Thakur, Nitai Padakamala Koti Chandra Shushitala. Nitai Padakamala means the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, and Koti Chandra Shushita means they're as soothing as millions of moons. Moon is supposed to be soothing, cooling. I don't know if in the West we think of the moon like that, but in India, because of the heat, it's always said when the moon comes out, everything cools off. So the moon is cooling, calming. So this song written by Narottam Das Thakur, he's saying that the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are as cooling as millions of moons. And what he means by that is the example is always given that material life is like a fire, like we're burning in material existence, burning from desire, unfulfilled desire, and also the other miseries. So then you take shelter of Lord Nityananda, and then it's cooling us from the miseries of material existence. If we take shelter of Nityananda Prabhu, then we get peace. Koti Chandra Sushitala. Just like in daytime, especially in the summer season, we become very much exasperated. But at night, in the evening, as soon as there is moonshine, we become very much satisfied. All day's labor and fatigue is immediately moved. So Nitai Padakamala, the shade of Nityananda Prabhu's lotus feet, is Koti Chandra Sushitala, as pleasing as 1 crore. 1 crore is 1 million, or who knows, maybe 10 million. You know? A crore? It's either 1 million or 10 million. As pleasing as 1 crore of moonshine, like 1 million moons, yeah. One moonshine gives us so much pleasure. So if we want actually peace of mind, if we actually want to be free from this material fatigue, then we must take shelter of Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu is the strength, spiritual strength. And without spiritual strength, you cannot approach Krishna. Nayamatma pravachena, simply by talking nonsense. If you are a good speaker, that does not mean you'll understand yourself. He's going on with a verse. The verse says, like, if you're intelligent, if you're a good speaker, all these things won't help you. Namhedaya, neither good brain. Because you have got a very good brain, you'll understand Krishna? No. Nayamatma pravachena labhya namhedaya na bahuna shrutena. If you think you're a very good scholar, university degree holder, then you'll understand? No. This is not possible. We must have spiritual strength. So, this verse Prabhupada's quoting, it says, Nayamatma pravachalena labhya. Without spiritual strength, you can't become Krishna conscious, and it's not by your intelligence, it's not by your learning, or you're not by your material power. So, the point Prabhupada's making here is that we're dependent living entities, and we, although we have a practice, sadhana, that's not the only way we become Krishna conscious, but we're dependent on the mercy of the Guru, the mercy of Balaram, mercy of Nityananda, all the great acharyas who give their mercy through their instructions and service and through our prayers. And that's how we advance. And we're always in that mood, that we're dependent. Then we're in the right consciousness. But the material consciousness is that we understand the process, we look at it and say, okay, I can do this. And then we think just by doing the process, I'll be successful. And if we've been successful in material life, then we'll apply it the same way. Well, I was a good student, I'm good in my job, so I understand the process here. I'll do the same thing. I'll just be successful. But in spiritual life, it's not exactly like that. There is the process, and yes, we should do it, but we understand that success or our strength is not, because it's not material, it comes by the grace of the higher devotees. So we're dependent. We're always in that dependent consciousness. Because it's spiritual life. Right? So there's a verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartana. You can't spread Krishna consciousness if you don't have Krishna's Shakti. Krishna doesn't empower you. So that verse, what that verse is explaining, it's not, Krishna consciousness is not material, just like, you're smart, or you're a good business person, so you can make people Krishna conscious. You can spread the Krishna consciousness movement. It's not like that. You require spiritual strength. Yeah. Anyway, the point to understand is spiritual life, it's not a material process. So because it's not a material process, therefore material ability It's not what makes you successful. You can use material ability, right? You use it, but that's, just because you have it, just like if you have material ability, you can be successful materially. But just because you have material ability doesn't mean you'll be successful spiritually. Right? It means you use it, you can use it. But you'll be successful spiritually because you have spiritual strength. Now, going back to the example of the person who thinks, I'll do sadhana, and by doing powerful sadhana, I'll be successful. That could be true if they're in the consciousness that by doing the sadhana, I will attract the mercy of the higher devotees, and by their mercy, I'll be successful. So if you're in that consciousness, that's right, that's okay. But not that I'll just do the process, and in and of itself, the process will make me successful. Because that's how it works in the material world. Study these books, take this test, write these essays, apply yourself, you'll succeed. Go to the seminar, follow this formula. Right? It doesn't work that way in Krishna consciousness. You can do everything perfectly, but if you disconnect yourself from the understanding that it's only through the mercy of the acharyas, mercy of my spiritual master, mercy of Prabhupada, that I'll be successful, then you're just thinking it's just because of you. That you, by your power, you can do it. So what this verse keeps saying is, it's not your power. And it even says, even you've studied many scripture, so you know everything. And then it says, Medhaya, even you're intelligent, so-called intelligent, and you've read the scriptures and you know the scriptures, and it says, Bala, and even if you're strong, so you think, hey, this is good. I know the scripture, I'm smart, and I have strength, so I should be successful. And this verse says, no. Not by your intelligence, not by your so-called physical strength, and not by the fact that you've read many scriptures, but unless you have the mercy of Nityananda Balaram, you won't be successful. And so mercy comes through service. Everything we do, in a sense, attracts mercy. But as soon as a devotee thinks, I'm doing this, therefore I should automatically be successful, then he cuts himself off from the mercy. Because it doesn't work that way. It's always, I'm doing this, but I require mercy to be successful. It's just an attitude change. And devotees sometimes pray to Lord Nityananda or pray to Balaram, please give me strength. So I can chant my rounds, I can chant the holy name, I can deal with everything I have to deal with in this world and not forget you. So there's always this dependency. That spiritual life is always dependency. And as soon as we become a little, we don't realize that, then we tend to become proud, and then Krishna just goes, okay. You say, I'm strong. Oh, really? You think you're strong? Krishna goes, he blows you over. It's that we're so weak. We should never think we're strong if we have the shelter of Balaram. But we should never think I'm strong independently. Just like Prabhupada would pray to Krishna that he wouldn't fall into Maya. So he's setting an example for us. Here's such a very elevated devotee, and he's praying to Krishna that I won't fall into Maya. There's a funny story. And Prabhupada was talking once with the devotees, and he said, the difference between you and me is that you can fall into Maya and I can't. And the next day, Prabhupada was praying to the deities, please, don't let me fall into Maya. And his servant heard. And so Prabhupada said, and the servant later said, Prabhupada, just yesterday you said, you can't fall into Maya and we can, and now this morning I heard you praying to Krishna that please don't let me fall into Maya. And Prabhupada said, yes, that's why I can't fall, because I'm praying. You know that story? So that, I think that makes the point. It just shows the attitude, right? That, even on an elevated state, one has that dependency, or one understands that spiritual advancement's not a material process. It only happens through spiritual energy. So Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartana. You can't spread Krishna consciousness without spiritual energy, and you can't get it without spiritual energy. So the spiritual energy comes when you're in that mood, you're dependent. Otherwise, even that you're doing everything, you won't get the result. Just like we've done so many workshops, so many classes on the holy name, and you can chant the holy name. If you commit offense, you don't get the result. You don't get love of God. It's not just chant Hare Krishna and then you'll get the result. No, there's a mentality behind it, and the mentality is everything. But some people will think, no, the process is everything, but it's the mentality behind the process that's everything. Right? So if that's true with chanting Hare Krishna, it's true with everything about Krishna consciousness. So I think that's the point being made here. So now we'll read from the Bhagavatam. This is from the 7th canto, chapter 5, text 45, purport. It's nice to read all these quotes because if you read a lot of what Prabhupada says about one topic, you start to see a theme developing. He tends to explain things in similar ways in different contexts. Unless one has attained the stage of devotional service and the mercy of the spiritual master in Krishna, there is a possibility that one may fall down and again accept a material body. Therefore, Krishna stresses in the Bhagavad Gita, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not upon leaving the body take his birth in the material world again, but attains my eternal abode. The word tattvata, that's in this verse, means one who knows me as I am, meaning in reality is very important. The word tattvataha, meaning in reality, is very important. Tatto mam tattvato gyatva. Unless one understands Krishna in truth, by the mercy of the spiritual master, one is not free to give up his material body. As it is said, aruha krichena param tata padantyado anarita dushmarangraya. If one neglects to serve the lotus feet of Krishna, one cannot become free from the material clutches simply by knowledge. So this is really the point Prabhupada's making here, is that someone may have knowledge, but they don't have the mood of bhakti. And even though they have the knowledge, which in and of itself should give liberation, they don't get liberation. Because they don't have the proper consciousness. If one neglects to serve the lotus feet of Krishna, one cannot become free from the material clutches simply by knowledge. Even if one attains the stage of Brahma Padam, merging in Brahman, without bhakti, he's prone to fall down. One must be very careful in regard to the danger of falling down again into the material world, material bondage. The only insurance is to come to the stage of bhakti from which one is sure not to fall. So here Prabhupada's just talking about those who are not on the path of bhakti and they have knowledge, or even they're very austere. They're doing so many things for self-realization. But they're missing that mood of bhakti and they can't maintain that level of self-realization because unless there's an outlet to serve Krishna, at some point you're going to want to serve yourself. It's just the way it is. There's no way. Unless you can engage everything you have in pleasing Krishna, you're going to engage it in pleasing yourself at some point. And if you just try to stop it, that's what they do. They just try to stop it. Okay, I'm not going to do anything. The desire is going to come. So that's why we say, engage everything in serving Krishna, whatever you have. Don't deny it. In summary, as stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one must get in touch with a bona fide spiritual master coming in the parampara of Krishna consciousness. For by his mercy and instructions, one is able to get strength from Krishna. Thus one engages in devotional service and attains the ultimate goal of life, the lotus feet of Vishnu. So again, we go back to this point of strength, which was the essence of that other verse. Where do you get your strength in Krishna consciousness? Is it coming from you? Or who is it coming from? It's not coming from us. It's coming down to us. And we're attracting it by our attitude and by our service. And the problem is when you get it, then you think, hey, look at me, I'm great, look what I did. But it's actually a power that's coming through you. Krishna Shakti Vina Nahitara Pavartana. You can't be successful without Krishna Shakti. So it's the Krishna Shakti that's making you successful. Your success is that you attracted it. Your success is that you became a receptacle. But when the Krishna Shakti is working, that's not you. That's Krishna. And someone says, hey, you're great, you did so wonderfully. And you think, yeah, I'm pretty good. That's an illusion. Then you've identified the Shakti with your own Shakti. That's Krishna Shakti. And this topic came up. It's a very interesting topic. You're probably not aware, but when Prabhupada spread Krishna consciousness, no one had done it before outside of India, and even and no one had done it with non-Indians. So what Prabhupada did was unique and special and unusual. And Prabhupada said that although his spiritual master personally asked him to do it, Prabhupada said that Prabhupada said he actually asked everybody to do it. It wasn't just an order for him, but it was an order for everybody. It was open order that we should spread Krishna consciousness outside of India, but he was the only one who did it. And no one had been that successful in the history of the world. No one had spread Krishna consciousness outside of India, and no one had spread Krishna consciousness. Well, maybe they went to Burma, but no one had spread Krishna consciousness in the Western world like Prabhupada did. I mean, a few people came before him, met a few people, but nothing really happened. So there was how should we say, there was some criticism amongst God brothers. One of the criticisms was that we as Westerners are not really qualified to be devotees because of our upbringing. So we weren't raised in India, we weren't raised in a devotional life. We don't have culture. We're called Yavana. Yavana means one who's outside the Vedic culture. We do a million things that within Vedic culture we would be considered outcasts. With these, just the way we talk, the way we eat, the way we sleep, the way we dress, everything we do practically is considered outside of it, uncultured. And we learn these things when we become devotees. We go to live in India, we learn what the culture is. So many things we do that they're not considered culture, they're considered outside of Vedic culture. So that was one of the arguments. Another one of the arguments is that some God brothers of Prabhupada were trying to minimize his success by saying that he was successful because he was a good manager, or he was successful because he was a good businessman. And so Prabhupada would quote this verse and say, no, you don't become successful in making other people Krishna conscious because you're a good manager, a good businessman. That will certainly help if you are. But that's not the fundamental way that Krishna consciousness spreads. It can only spread by someone who has Krishna's mercy. It can only spread by Krishna Shakti. So Prabhupada would quote this verse, Krishna Shakti, Vina means without. Krishna Shakti Vina, Nahi Tara Pravartana. Without Krishna Shakti, you can't spread Krishna consciousness. So he would use this verse, not just to defeat his God brothers, that wasn't his point, but to establish this principle that if you try to minimize someone and say, well, they're successful because of their material ability, the verses we're reading keep saying it's not because of your learning, it's not because of your intelligence, and it's not because of your material strength, which would be considered your material ability, such as being a good businessman or whatever. It's because of your Krishna consciousness. And ultimately it's because Prabhupada he said, I was successful because I followed my guru and I got his mercy. Anytime you ask Prabhupada, why were you successful? He said, I don't have the qualification, but it was the mercy. That was his only answer. Of course, as his disciples and grand disciples will say, no, but he was so this and so that. But from his perspective, no, the real thing it was the order of my guru, and within the order was the mercy, and I just executed the order. So Prabhupada said, if you want to glorify me, then this is the glory that I followed his instruction. And that was, of course, his instruction to us. That you want to be glorious, then you follow the instruction of what Prabhupada gives you. And then the Shakti comes, people become Krishna conscious. I mean, it's amazing. You have kirtan, and so many people will come and they'll dance and they'll chant and they'll feel purified. So what do? We just did kirtan. It's not like we purified them. right? We give class. What are we doing? We're repeating what we're hearing and we're sharing our realizations. And if people hear submissively, if they put it into practice, that they get the mercy of the whole parampara of the guru disciplic succession, because the mercy just comes down. So you're the last connection. By your instruction, they got mercy, but the mercy is coming through you. And that's, there's a verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mukam karoti vachalam. A person who is dumb can speak poetry. Pango langayate girim, a person who's lame can cross mountains. And Mukam karoti vachalam, pango langayate. Okay. And there's not this verse, but there's another verse that says a blind man can see stars in the sky if they have the mercy of Lord Chaitanya or the mercy of the Guru. So that's the whole theme of this. Okay, your material qualification, you're blind, but by the mercy of Guru, the mercy of Krishna, the mercy of the Acharyas, the mercy of Prabhupada, the mercy of Nityananda, the mercy of Balaram, now you're able to see stars in the sky. You're able to do what you're able to go beyond your material capabilities, and what we're doing is it's spiritual service. So it's ultimate. At least my realization is ultimately you just become a vehicle for Krishna's mercy, and then Krishna, if you're willing, Krishna will use you, and if you acknowledge that He's using you, He'll use you more. And if you think, "Oh, I'm special," He goes, "Okay, you're out." You become proud. Okay, that one's out. You get sidelined. Now let's use somebody who's humble enough to be used. That's how it works. And that sidelining can happen, from moment to moment, because we can think that way from moment to moment. All right. So we'll continue with the purport. Significant in this verse are the words Gyanasim Achutabala. Gyanasim means the sword of knowledge. And the sword of knowledge is given by Krishna. This is a verse from Bhagavad Gita. Destroy ignorance with the sword of knowledge. Gyanasim. Gyanamit knowledge. Asim. Sword. The sword of knowledge is given by sword of knowledge is given by Krishna. And when one serves the Guru and Krishna, in order to hold the sword of Krishna's instructions, Balaram gives one strength. So here's the sword of knowledge. By the mercy of Balaram, you have the strength to hold it up. And that sword of knowledge will dispel the ignorance. So by the mercy of Balaram, then ignorance is destroyed. And something also that's important to understand is that because the way Krishna works, the way He's arranged everything, is that everything is reciprocal. So if you want to be able to hold up the sword of knowledge, in the first place, if you want the knowledge and you want to be able to hold it up, He'll give you the strength to do it. But if you have a desire, some other desire to enjoy independently of Krishna, then you won't have this. He won't even give you the sword, and even if He does, you won't have the strength to hold it up. He'll just because you don't want it. So Krishna is always reciprocating. If you don't want it, you don't need it, He's not going to give you the strength. Then what you need, if you want to enjoy, is you need material impetus and material strength. So He'll give you that. Because spiritual strength doesn't help you enjoy the material world. So if you want to enjoy the material world, why would He want to give you that? Because it's the wrong utilization, it's the wrong tool. So you want to give Krishna consciousness to others, so He gives you that. The sword of knowledge, the strength to hold it, then you can give it to other people. You want to enjoy the material world, He's not going to give you that. It's the wrong tool. And then what Krishna will do, in order to enjoy the material world, He'll create an illusion in your consciousness that you're the enjoyer and things of this world are enjoyable. Because if you don't have that illusion, there's no impetus to enjoy material things. If you come into this world and you understand exactly what this world is, you wouldn't be able to enjoy it. You'd be like Sukadeva Goswami, you'd be liberated. From birth, you wouldn't engage in material activity. But the fact that we engage in material activity, there's a requirement. And the requirement is you have to think, I'm the body. You have to think, I can enjoy. You have to think, these things are enjoyable. And you somehow have to forget that you're going to die. Because if you remember that, it rains on your parade. You can't enjoy the things. Right? So all these illusions have to come. And you'll see in your own devotional life, anytime you get more into this mood of I can enjoy, you'll see fragments of that consciousness starting to descend and cover you. Because it just goes with that. Okay, you want to enjoy? Okay, let's start covering you. Because if I don't cover you, you won't think that this is enjoyable. So there's so much forgetfulness. And then whenever we return out of the depths of darkness, if we go through the dark night of the soul, we'll look back and we'll just be amazed at how did I do that? How did I forget everything that I learned in the last year, 5 years, 10 years? Seems like I just forgot it, or it was deactivated. I mean, I had the knowledge, but it was deactivated. Like your credit card. It's not, you have the card, but it's not activated. So it's something like that. Like, here's the knowledge, so here's your credit card, but it's not working. Or here's your credit card, it's working, so it's activated because you want it to work. So it's really wonderful, because Krishna, you know you can always be Krishna conscious, just if you have the desire to be, because the mercy will come and then you'll get the strength. The dangerous part is you have to understand if you don't want it, the other thing's going to descend. So it's like, whoa, if I'm just get off course, then all these coverings of ignorance start hitting me. And I think, hey, that's nice. Hey, I can enjoy that. Krishna says the material world's miserable. It's not so bad here. What's he talking about? I used to think like that when I was a new devotee. Because every class I'd go to, they say the material world is miserable. Because the movement was young, and that's, I think, what they needed to hear themselves, just to stay in Krishna consciousness. And they didn't know a lot. So every class they talked about that. And I'd say, no, what are you talking about? Not so bad. I'm having a good time. Right? And if you want to have a good time, you don't want to hear that, because that's like, it's like you're going to Disneyland and say, I just want to tell you before you go, this material world is a place of suffering. And don't forget, at any moment you could die. And have a good day. Have fun, kids. Right? So, if you want to enjoy, you consciously remove anything from your consciousness which would be a problem or an obstacle to your enjoyment. And so that's what we do. But Krishna helps us, because he's super soul. He gives us the intelligence. So any way you want to go, he'll give you intelligence. You want to be rich, he'll show you. So many rich guys, they have such good brains for making money. They're just like, they could generate 10 ideas a second, and they'd all be successful. That's what they want. Incredible ideas, almost like infallible. So we just have to be careful. And so as we're seeing here, our position is we want the strength of Balaram, and then we get his strength, Krishna Shakti. Then we're successful spiritually, and we're successful in giving people Krishna consciousness. And you really want to give people Krishna consciousness. There's no better way than being Krishna conscious yourself. Then you just become a conduit. All your realizations, Krishna will give you so many realizations, and you'll give them to people. And you'll be inspired, you'll be happy, that will inspire them. So it's really, really you can't be very effective in giving Krishna consciousness if you don't have it. And you don't get it without mercy. So that's why Prabhupada said, they're criticizing me that I'm a good businessman, and that's why I spread Krishna consciousness. But here's the verse. Krishna consciousness doesn't spread by material ability, it spreads by, it's Krishna Shakti that's spreading it. And you, if you're surrendered, will get Krishna Shakti. Yes?
We say that it's like a scientific process, science of self-realization. So to me that means like you do this, this, and this, and you eventually get the result.
Yes.
But then it sounds like it's not the process, not you do this, 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 and this.
Well, add to the science. So Timothy's saying it seems like we're told it's a scientific process. Do A, B, and C, you'll get the result. But now it seems like when I'm saying it differs from that. You have to add the consciousness into the scientific process, and so that's where people misunderstand. They do the process without the right consciousness. So yeah, they did everything. But it's also, if you study Prabhupada's books, you'll see that element of consciousness. of what's the right consciousness with which to do that. And then we go back to the example of chanting Hare Krishna. Okay, just chant Hare Krishna 16 rounds a day, you'll become Krishna conscious. That's true, but it's qualified. Then you go into the reified print. It can't be Namaparad, and it can't ultimately be Namabhas. Can't even be the second stage, where you're clearing offenses, but you have to come to the stage of chanting purely to please Krishna. Then you'll get Krishna consciousness. So it's all in the, everything is there, the process, but the fine print. And sometimes we don't read the fine print because it's, we feel we can't, that we're not ready to do that. But the other side of it is, now you could say, that even if you don't have the consciousness, if you do everything else, the consciousness will come. But you have to understand what that consciousness is. And so you have to nurture it along. You have to allow it to come. You can't just say, well, I'll just chant Hare Krishna because it's good for my material life. But even if you did that, eventually some desire to be more renounced will come. And then it becomes offensive if you just push it away. So no, I'm not going to become renounced. I'm just going to chant Hare Krishna. So there is a result that comes, even when you don't do it well. And that's why the Shastra says, just do it. Even if you have the wrong motive, just do it, because you'll get purified. So that's the problem, is when you're getting purified and you're not going with it. You're staying in your material consciousness. That's why Prahlad Maharaj said, Matirna Krishna Parata Svato Va Mito Vipadyeta Griha Vratanam. If you want to remain in the material world and you want to enjoy it, there's nothing that can make you Krishna conscious. Because Krishna will never interfere. Krishna will only give you what you want. And he's saying that even a guru can't make you Krishna conscious. And Prabhupada would say that a lot of times. He said, somebody would leave and he would say, what can I do? So in other words, you give like you tell your kids what to do, but what more can you do other than tell them what the right thing is and try to reinforce it in any way you can. But ultimately, they're going to make a decision, especially when they're older, right? They go out, they're going to live in the world. It's all their decision now. So Prabhupada in the same way would say, what can I do? I've given the instructions. So nobody can force you to serve Krishna. Krishna won't force you. The devotee will try to. They'll try to convince you. They'll pound you in the head with knowledge, but they still can't force you. Right? So everything is there within the process, and do the process, but do it correctly. Because you can do it incorrectly. I think that's the real answer to you can do the process incorrectly. And so that's why, if it's not working, if you're not becoming Krishna conscious, then you go back and say, where in the process is something going wrong? There has to be something wrong in how you're applying the process. And usually it could either be externally, you're not doing it correctly. Maybe you're not even pronouncing the Mahamantra properly. Maybe you're falling asleep. So that's an external thing. And then there's the internal. Maybe you're just preaching, but you're in the wrong mood. You're just thinking, wow, I'm so great, and people like me, and this is fun, and I get honor, and I get to hang out with all these beautiful young girls at the yoga studio, and you could be totally in the wrong consciousness. Right? But you're doing everything externally. It looks like you're doing everything right. So that's part of the process. The most important part of the process. Because just like Krishna says, Patra Pushpam Palam Toyam, offer me fruit, flower, leaf, or water. But what's the important point in that verse? Bhak uparitam, with love and devotion. That's the most important part of the verse. So you say, I've been offering fruit, flowers, leaves, and water to Krishna for 20 years, and I'm totally in Maya. Yeah, well, you forgot the next line of the verse, which was the most important part, love. And you can see that in any relationship. Sometimes couples are not happy, and the husband will say, "But I do everything for you," and the wife will say, "Yeah, you got the house and you got the car and all this, but you don't have any affection. You don't show affection." So she'd be happier if he just showed affection and didn't have the house, right? Well, Krishna is the same. It's not the fruit, flower, or water. I mean, Krishna loves tulsi leaves, but it's the affection with which it's offered that's attractive. Or we say that's the spice, that's the appetizer for Krishna, the devotion. That's what makes him want to eat it. But he's not attracted, just to offer something. If you offer something, just to say I've offered it to Krishna, it doesn't really attract him. Okay. This Balaram, comes with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and both of them are so merciful that in this age of Kali, one may very easily take shelter of their lotus feet. They come especially to deliver the fallen souls of this age. Papi tapi yata chilo harinam udarilo. Their weapon is Sankirtan Harinam. Means their weapon is the Maha Mantra. Because what Prabhupada is saying is, Krishna comes in Bhagavad Gita. Why does Krishna come? He says, I come to give mercy to the devotees. So Krishna comes, how does he give mercy? He gives his instruction in Bhagavad Gita, and he performs his pastimes. And his pastimes give great pleasure to the devotees, and his pastimes give great pleasure to devotees who have lived for the last 5,000 years because they can hear. So I come to give pleasure. And Prabhupada said that's the real reason Krishna comes, is to give pleasure. But it's also his duty to maintain dharma, religious principles. So how does he do that? There are so many demons that were coming to Vrindavan, so Krishna kills them. So he says, I come to deliver the pious, annihilate the miscreants. So he was protecting the residents of Vrindavan and protecting the world by annihilating the miscreants. So here, the example is given, Lord Chaitanya comes, and he's also avatar, and the avatars, they annihilate the miscreants. So how does he annihilate the miscreants in the age of Kali? What's his weapon? His weapon is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And how does that annihilate the miscreants? It annihilates their miscreant mentality. So that's how it's said he kills in Kali Yuga through the holy names, and he kills the demoniac mentality. In the story of Jagai and Madhai, Lord Nityananda said, please don't kill, I think it was Madhai, please don't kill him, because everyone in this age is just like him. Everybody is a miscreant, is sinful. And if you kill him, you'll have to kill everybody. So better give mercy. So Madhai, they both surrendered. Their hearts changed when they saw the mercy of Nityananda, and they surrendered. And Lord Chaitanya accepted them. He said, if you don't commit any more sin, I'll accept you. And they became purified. And they became devotees. So they were killed by the weapon of the holy name and Lord Chaitanya's mercy. That's the weapon. So when you're going out and giving people Krishna consciousness, you can see there's people change. Their mentality changes as they become purified. And so you see, you're actually killing this mentality. Thus, one should accept the sword of knowledge from Krishna and be strong with the mercy of Balaram. So we have knowledge from the Gita and other Shastra, and then by the strength of Balaram, we can carry this knowledge, we can realize this knowledge, we can give it. Otherwise, just because you have knowledge doesn't mean you understand, and doesn't mean you realize anything. You have to have mercy to understand it. Sometimes you're reading something and you're like, I don't understand this, and you just keep praying to Krishna. You keep chanting and praying, and sometimes, if we're fortunate, Krishna helps us understand, or he'll send somebody, or we'll end up with some devotee, and the devotee will talk to us about that very thing we're trying to understand. One way or other, you get it. That means it comes to you. So Krishna consciousness, it's coming down, it's coming to us. It's not like because you're so great, you're going to get Krishna. But it's coming down to you. But your sadhana and everything qualifies you as a recipient. You're able to get it. Krishna will see you because you want it. Here, Prabhupada's passing out cookies. Give me one. If you could get your hand in front of everybody, then you get a cookie. That's the secret when people are passing anything out. Just get in there. Sometimes on the altar, like on Janmashtami, a lot of times after the midnight artik, there'll be so many things on the altar, fruits and whatever, and they'll pass them out. So you go up there, right, in front of everybody, and put your hand up there, and you'll get it. So when you get it, you didn't deserve it. It was just given to you, right? But how it was that you got it, you were anxious to get it, you went to the front. So that's the effort part. So Krishna sees, oh, there's a hand, they want it. Okay, here. Now you get something, which is greater than what you could have achieved. Oh, because all you did was just get to the front and stick your hand out. You didn't magically create an orange or a mango, right? That was all you could do, and then it comes. So that the process is, okay, follow the process. That's putting your hand out. Then the mercy comes. And so prayer is putting your hand out. Chanting is putting your hand out. Doing service, everything's putting your hand out. The sword of knowledge, Krishna gives you, and then by the mercy of Balaram, Nityananda, Guru, Prabhupada, you get realization. Without it, it's like, there's so many people. Hey, you know Bhagavad Gita inside out, but they don't understand it at all. They don't have a clue. Who is Krishna? What is Krishna saying? One cannot attain the goal of life without the mercy of Balaram. It's another lecture, Prabhupada, it's a purport, and Prabhupada's saying the same thing. He quoted the same verse that we've been reading. Nayamatma balahinena labhyo. One cannot attain the goal of life without the mercy of Balaram. Sri Narottam Das Thakur therefore says, Nitayara karuna hobe braje radha Krishna pabe. When one receives the mercy of Balaram, Nityananda, one can attain the lotus feet and Radha and Krishna very easily. So how can you understand Radha and Krishna? How can you attain their lotus feet? You can't, but you need mercy of a devotee. So when you get the mercy of Prabhupada, you're getting the mercy of Nityananda, Balaram. When you get the mercy of the Guru or any Vaishnava, you're getting the mercy of Nityananda, Balaram. That's how it works. And that's how we advance. Then we, fallen souls of Kali Yuga, can have some realization and understanding of Radha and Krishna. And not only understanding, but a desire to be someday as in one of the four relationships with Krishna. That's, just having that desire, that's amazing. Jeremy. So maybe I'll see you on Wednesday if I come back. Otherwise, we'll see you in Mexico. Jai. Thank you. Hari Bol. Keep up the good work. Carry the sword of knowledge. So, you see, Radha and Krishna, and all Krishna's pastimes, as we know, they're transcendental. But what does transcendental mean? Transcendental means that they're not material. So what does that mean? It means that they're not understood by material mind. So it's like nobody can understand those pastimes unless they have mercy. It's impossible. You just won't have any idea. Radha and Krishna together, you'll just think of boys and girls and think, what is this? How could this be God? This is crazy. God must be, like 500 feet high, he must have a thunderbolt, you just won't understand. It'll be because it's transcendental, it has nothing to do with the material. And if we're in material consciousness, we have to mold it to fit within material conception. Well, God's great, He's powerful, so He must be big, He's the oldest, so He must be old, right? And how God's not enjoying, God's religion is all about rules, right? Good Catholic, all about rules, right? So God must be like the protector of rules, the administrator of rules, and the punisher of those who don't follow the rules. This is material conception. I'm a recovering Catholic. That's not so bad. I'm a recovering Baptist. That's worse. I was told I was going to hell every day of my life since the age of 3. I am a demented living entity now. And I'm going to Baptist recovery groups for the last 20 years. So that's what we're dealing with. So then there's Radha and Krishna. And then the first is like, well, how can God be a she? Then you have to deal with that, right? And how can God be blue? You have to deal with that. And how could God play with God plays with His friends? You have to deal with that. And God has girlfriends, and the girlfriends have husbands. That's like, that's already off the chart that you're already off of when you finally accepted that God's not doesn't have a gray hair and a beard, and he's not some giant, That took you years to get over that one. So, but one of the things we see in Krishna consciousness, which it always amazes me, but this explains it, is that Western people, they come to the temple, right, and they don't know anything. They go in the temple. They don't even know their deities on the altar. They don't even see them. They just look at the altar as like a blur, some flowers or something, right? It takes a while before they even realize there's deities there. And then there's Tulsi. We're worshiping a plant. That's like very far out. It's very weird. And and just doing puja in general is not something we're used to in the West so much. Offering a flame, why a flame? 90% of the devotees don't even know why we're doing that. I don't know. It's light. Light's Krishna, whatever. No, but the lights are on. I don't know. It's what you do. It says to do it. Yeah. No, it's one of the elements you're offering Krishna. Why do you ring the bell? It's music. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Whatever. So, but one of the things you see very clearly is that even very, very new people, if they're sincere to advance spiritually, even if they don't know what that means, if they're sincere, this spiritual energy comes down and they begin to understand, and all of a sudden they see the deities on the altar, and then they start becoming attracted, and they have some realization that Krishna is manifesting through the deity. They have a realization that Krishna is manifesting through the holy name. That Tulsi, they have some realization that Tulsi is a pure devotee. They're feeling, I was chanting my rounds in front of Tulsi and I was feeling something special. This is all the spiritual energy coming down, giving these realizations, which are transcendental, which you can't get by thinking God's an old man with a beard, so he's old, so he must be an old man with a beard. That's all here. That's not coming from the transcendental position. So when it comes and you see these very young devotees, they have very deep realizations. It's amazing. It's just completely amazing that so quickly they get so much. But that's coming from Krishna. And Krishna can give, if Krishna's giving it, he can give all kinds of information very quickly, right? That's my experience. So that's what's happening. Now, understanding that's what's happening, then we want to put ourselves in that position where we can get that mercy. Because if it's happening to a young devotee, what to speak, if I practice sincerely, then how much more I can get. And then if you can come to this point where you understand Radha and Krishna, it's not male, female, boy, girl. That's not easy to understand. If you can understand the deeper nature of Krishna's love for the gopis, that dancing with those women, other men's wives, had nothing to do with stealing men's wives and enjoying, but it is the highest manifestation of pure affection. If you can understand that only can happen by Krishna's mercy. You can't understand it any other way. You can read every book, and you still won't understand it. So when we're studying scripture, but that's also the other side of that study, is we realize, please Krishna, help me understand this. It's not just words on a page. I need your mercy to understand this. That's the attitude of the devotee. So the devotee prays to Balaram Nityananda, his spiritual master, Prabhupada, please help me. I'm dependent. That's what Prabhupada's making. Here, and then Prabhupada says, if one has no connection with Nitai Balaram, then even though one is a very learned scholar or jnani or has taken birth in a very respectable family, their assets will not help them. So all these material things don't help you because it's transcendental. We must therefore conquer the enemies of Krishna consciousness with the strength received from Balaram. External enemies, internal enemies. Anyway, there's so many documents. That's just one. So we can. If there are any questions, I'll go on the internet and see if anybody out there has any questions. Here's your big chance. Or comments. Okay. One more site. We have to go to 2 sites. I have to go to my own site. Wow. They're dancing on Mayapur TV. There's a question here. There was a question which was asked in the Sunday lecture, how does one practice humility? Someone said, by sincerely practicing these Madhavatitis, like Balaram Jayanti, Ekadasi, if we do that, we will become humble. The answer was not discredited. Could that actually be? Well, I think maybe the misunderstanding is that just by doing that you'll become humble. By doing anything in Krishna's service you'll become humble, because part of what humility means is to acknowledge that Krishna's controlling and He's supreme. So it kind of makes you humble when you fast, because you're fasting for somebody, and you're worshipping on all these, obviously you're worshipping Krishna and Balaram in these appearance days. So humility doesn't only mean awareness of your faults, it also means awareness of your position as not a controller and you're not so great. So in that sense, yes, that's true. Because it just puts you know who you are. If you go to a birthday party and it's not your party, then you got to worship the other person. So it's not about you. So if you're not humble, don't go to the birthday party. If you're envious of that person, don't go to their birthday party. So don't go to Janmashtami if you're envious of Krishna, because he's the one that's going to be worshipped. So that sense of humility. A broader answer is anything you do in Krishna consciousness will make you humble. But like I was saying before, the process works, but you have to allow it to work, because sometimes we don't allow it to work. We drop the acid in it. So I don't want to be humble. So the process will make you humble. So my typical answer is always, I think, the foundational principle is that if this answer is going to, if we accept this answer, which I think we should accept, but how's it going to work? By wanting to be humble. Because if you don't want to be humble, then no one's going to make you humble. You have to want it. So if you actually want to be humble, then all these activities in bhakti will help you become humble. And if you don't want to be humble, then the same activities, you do the same thing, you'll just become proud of how great you are. Look what I did. Nobody's distributed as many books as I've distributed. What's wrong with everybody? Aren't they Krishna conscious? No. Get it together. Then your book distribution just causes you to become proud. That's all, because you don't want to be humble. So, like that. So, as long as you want to be humble, Guru Nishta, everything will make you humble. So, any other questions? They can't ask questions on the phone?
Oh no, they were just on my book.
Oh, anyone else have a question? You want me to read a few more things? Want me to read something esoteric? Here's a story. It's a story about Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya is one of the main gurus in our disciplic succession. And he was in Udupi, and he was sitting by the beach, and he saw a ship coming from Dwarka, and there was a storm. So the ship needed directions. They were, I guess, lost, and so he directed them to the shore. And he actually saved them. So the merchants wanted to reward him, and he was a sannyasi, so he said, I don't need anything. And he said, but I could use some gopi chandan. Gopi chandan it's earth, sacred earth, like we're wearing on our forehead. I believe it comes from Dwarka, where Krishna has walked. It's like a yellow clay. And it can also be used in worshipping deities to decorate and particularly mix with lemon juice to polish the deities. So that's what, it comes from Dwarka. So, okay. So, do you have Gopi Chandan? The boat's coming from Dwarka, Gopi Chandan comes from Dwarka. I get to use some Gopi Chandan. And they had it. They were using it on the ship, not for worshipping Krishna, but for a ballast. That was Gopi Chandan. So, they gave him 3 big Gopi Chandan boulders. And somehow or other, when they broke apart, inside each of them was a deity. One was Lord Krishna, and that deity is worshipped in Udupi, where he was. The next one was Balaram, worshipped in a place called Bhadabhandeshwara, and the third one was a deity of Janardhan, worshipped in a temple near Udupi. And so, Madhvacharya worshipped Lord Balaram. Want to hear something else?
Sure.
So there's a song that goes like this: Dauji Kanaya Krishna Kavaya, Dauji Kanaya Krishna Kavaya. O beloved Balaram, brother of Krishna, Dauji Kanaya Krishna Kavaya. Oh, beloved of Balaram, brother of Krishna. It's a song they sing in Vrindavan and other places. Balaram conceives of himself first and foremost as Krishna's friend. However, within his sense of fraternal love for Krishna, he also conceives of himself as both Krishna's servant and Krishna's guru. Thus he serves Krishna from above, below, and in between. His Sakyabhav, that means his friendship relationship, is Sankula, or mixed with Dasya, servitorship, and Vatsalya. So he has these 3 relationships. He serves Krishna, he's a friend, but he has this motherly affection, because he's the older brother. Friendship, service, and paternal affection. Balaram is a Kanda Guru Tattva. Kanda means everything. That is, he personifies the principle of teaching all souls how to serve Krishna. All scripture glorifies the service of Krishna, and thus they are glorifying Balaram, because he personifies service, and whatever exists is a manifestation of his potency. So everything in Krishna's pastimes, as we're saying, like the clothes and shoes, and everything is manifestation of Balaram. And that's how he serves Krishna. In the forest of Naimisharanya, during the recitation of the Puranas and Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam had not yet manifested. So there was an assembly of sages in this forest, and they were reciting the Puranas and Mahabharata, but Sukadeva Goswami had not come yet to recite the Bhagavatam. The speaker, Romarshan Sutta, did not stand up when Balaram arrived. So Balaram came, these sages were sitting, and the speaker should have stood up to honor Lord Balaram. That's part of the culture. When a superior comes, you stand up. Like in Indian schools, teacher comes, everyone stands up. That's the culture. So he didn't stand up. Romasan Sutta did not stand up when Balaram arrived. Balaram is the guru of all gurus. He is also the guru of Vyasadeva, who is the guru of Romasan Sutta. By offending Balaram, Romasan Sutta exhibited that he was not actually part of Akhanda Guru Tattva, and he was killed. The son of Romasan Sutta was Ugrashava Sutta, or Sri Sutta Goswami. By Balaram Prabhu's placing his hand on Sutta Goswami's head, all the scriptures manifested in his heart. So Balaram is the supreme guru, and Romasan Sutta was not representing him properly, so he had to be eliminated as not a proper guru. Then his son came, Sutta Goswami, and then he touched his head, and then by the mercy of the guru, all the knowledge was manifest. So again, it goes back to that point. Any realization you have, ultimately it's the mercy of Guru, mercy of Prabhupada, mercy of Nityananda, mercy of Balaram. Because otherwise it's just knowledge, just words on a page, that's it. This is the actual process. Unless the bona fide Guru gives mercy, real knowledge cannot manifest in the heart of the disciple. Yeah, there's so much we could read. Anyway, so maybe we should end. Any other question, anybody? One last check. Until all the anarthas enter, until all the Pallavi's saying, until all the anarthas go from your heart, then Krishna prema follows. Well, it follows not immediately, but after a while. There are other stages you go through, because all the anarthas don't go away. They go away slowly. But at a certain stage, when most of them go away, then your bhakti gets going faster. It's like, there's so much weight. You're carrying all this weight, you're climbing up a mountain. If you can get rid of the weight, you can climb up faster. So, maybe you're carrying 60 pounds, But so if you're carrying 8 pounds or 12 pounds, then you're good, you can go fast. But, after 3 hours of 12 pounds, it still hurts a little bit. So the anarthas are like that, they're weighing you down. So gradually they go, and it gets easier in Krishna consciousness. But when you get to the stage of ruchi, where you have taste, then naturally, because there's taste, it's just easier. Because you really like doing it all the time, not sometimes. And when people have taste, they chant more rounds. It just happens naturally. They want to do it. Okay? Guru Nishta, I think tonight I'm not going to make it to do the class. Maybe Wednesday night. Might be possible. We can see. So I'm actually supposed to meet my sister around that time, and I don't even know at that time if I'll have internet connection. And that is also, it's Balaram's, it's not a good time, because everyone might be at the temple for Balaram. So why don't we just cancel and let everybody know, and we will try to do it Wednesday night. Okay? So thank you all for attending. We will see you maybe Wednesday night. Hare Krishna. Balaram Jayanti ki jai. Go Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Jai.